Hey there, and thank you for joining us on another episode of The Designated Pundits. Thank you so much for joining us, and let's get started. Let's jump right into it. Today we are talking about Match Day 3, doing a little recap. Having some technical issues today, so hopefully this is live. You guys can join us on YouTube. Drop a comment as we go through some of the best and worst that we've seen so far in Match Day 3. Of course, we're going to start first segment, best and worst things we've seen. Move on, talk about some players of the week, some players who put up some outstanding performances, and then finish up with some upset surprises and maybe do a little run through of our picks from Match Day 3. The good news is the show is in the green, 2.98 units in the up, myself going 5-1 with a 4.19 in the green, bringing myself to 7.93 units in the plus. Over 3 match days, I will take that each and every day. Scott, you had a little bit of an uncharacteristic down week, 7-8 on the short season, but you're still in the plus 0.46 units. We'll turn that around. But hey, you know what? This sports betting is a marathon, not a sprint.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. You're absolutely right. And I just want to point out, these last 2 weeks, I had 2 really kind of bad beats, right? I don't know if you ever watched that SVP segment where he does bad beats.
Yeah.
Look, I just want to. Last week it was the penny farthing bicycle goal against DC, right? That was insane. And this week it was. A third goal by St. Louis in the 80-something minute. Like, come on, guys. What?
Very interesting match day that we just had. But we're going to start like we do with every episode of our recap show. Best thing you've seen this week, Scott?
Ooh, okay. The best thing I've seen this week, I did have to go to the highlights for this, but it is Pantemis's penalty saves. 2 of them for Portland. Look, 2 saves in a row is already exceptional. Fun fact, that's 3 straight saves. 3 straight penalty saves for him in MLS play, which is insane. But just that first penalty save, and I know we don't have the clip of that. I didn't prep Bob to grab the clip for that. That's my bad. But the first save is a really good penalty take from Hani Mukhtar. And Pantemis gets all the way out to the post to get fingertips on that and push it against the post. It comes back behind him. I mean, you're talking just the finest of margins. That is just a world-class penalty save any day of the week. So, Pantemis, good job. Too bad the rest of your game was not so good.
Yeah, so that's where you kind of lost us on that one. Pantemis had 0.96 goals prevented. Those are on the 2 saves. Again, you just said 3 penalty saves in a row to start the season. Zach McGraw conceded one of those penalties 5 minutes in the match, and this is his first game back from a red card suspension. So he's in the coach's positive graces, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Look, actually, we're jumping ahead because I want to talk about Portland in a future segment. There's going to be a little bit of a Portland theme for me now. So you have I really like your best of the week.
I know. So
with that, or you want to talk about Alex's?
Well, we'll talk about, Ty Baribo had another goal. However, when I looked at the official scoring today, it was deflected. That is now an own goal. Ty Baribo does not have a 6th goal on the MLS season. As far as I know, that was taken away from him. So really good stuff by Philadelphia. I had Philadelphia to score 2 goals, and it was at fantastic odds, plus 120. So, yeah, it was sweating that Philly team. We were. That is the nature of everything here. Of course, we're going to touch on that. Mm-hmm. I think that was fantastic. Yeah, it ended up being a Revs' own goal and not a goal by Philadelphia. They did give Jovan Lukic his first, who he had a fantastic game himself. But that's not who I want to talk about. I want to talk about the Seattle Sounders. The story of the Seattle Sounders match was the young kids. It was these players from the Defiance stepping up and having a really great game. We saw Rothrock with a goal and an assist. He is the surprise player of last season. And then we saw the surprise player of Seattle Sounders past, Jordan Morris becoming the all-time leading goal scorer, 87 goals, passes Raul Ruiz-Diaz at 86. If that wasn't good enough, the hometown guy making his, spot in Seattle Sounders lore, you had this kid, Kalani Kosarienzi. This guy from Tacoma Defiance, he actually is now offered a first-team contract. He was not on a first-team contract. I think he was on some kind of like two-way contract at the time. 71 minutes played, 0.18 expected goals, 0.11 expected assists, 33 of 34 passing, 97%, most of which happened in the midfield or closer. Incredible. 7 of 9 ground duels won, 6 tackles and 5 possession losses. Really puts him in the positive for possession. But here is a clip of this kid playing in, I believe it's his third Major League Soccer game. You just have to watch it to see. Here he gets a long pass. He's already sprinting past the defenders, stops and doesn't let the weight of a much larger man take him down. Cuts in, puts it on his left foot into the back of the net. I mean, the presence of mind just to not go down there. Like, he could have gone down and looked for a soft penalty. He could have done a lot of things differently than he did there. But no, he wanted that ball to be put into net by his left foot. Switched. He left a couple of, LAFC defenders just in the dust. First, he beats a guy, catches up, does not go down. Little turn, keeping the ball, 5 defenders closing in on him, and he still gets the shot off. I mean, that's all he could have done. There was no pass open at that point, but having the presence of mind to turn and give, fantastic.
I think the athleticism for him to maintain his balance and maintain control of the ball as he does that turn, because he goes from a full sprint, rides the challenge, gets himself stopped, turned around in like 2 yards, right? Full sprint to stop at like 2 yards. Just the athleticism to do that physically is off the charts. You throw the ball in there, that shows, some great ability as well. Just, man, you love to see that from a young player. Can't wait to see what he can do next, man.
It was the perfect amount of finesse and power. I think one of the themes that I saw around Major League Soccer this week is players putting really soft shots on net. Like, such low percentage shots that no one in Major League Soccer is going to stop that. I noticed that in the NYCFC game on both sides, just watching these really soft balls go at goalkeepers. Made a fantastic move. I am assuming he's left-footed. Nice Paisan kid. I like that. He's going to do really well in Seattle. I believe that he's going to be signed to a senior contract. He was interviewed after the game. And again, it was the Tacoma Defiance kids, Paul Rothrock, 1 goal, 1 assist. He had 0.59 expected assists. His goal was a banger from outside.
I was going to say, his goal was incredible. He
hit it to keep it not from rising. I mean, the amount you got to get your hip over that ball perfectly was a fantastic, fantastic shot. A lot of really good stuff in this matchup. In the end, Seattle Sounders win 5-2. And although it is 5-2, it was really 2-1 until the 76th minute. And at that point, LAFC just sent everyone up. And hey, it worked for them. They did have 1 goal. And I believe it was David Martinez dribbled through like 15 guys. I want to talk about another young kid for LAFC. David Martinez out there on the wing had a fantastic, fantastic match. In the end, Seattle Sounders got 2 late ones, 5-2 final score.
Yeah, Seattle looked really good. That offense was explosive. I think we talked a little bit about it in our group chat. The thing about that Seattle game that really impressed me was how much Seattle was able to, focus on and exploit the left defense for LAFC. A lot went through that. A lot of the chances, quite a few of the goals, I think at least 3 of them came down that left LAFC side, or the Seattle's right hand side attack. I just thought it was really astute. It was really good, recognition from Seattle to see where the weaknesses were, to find a place they could take advantage, and then to be just absolute killers. It's totally cutthroat.
Yeah, Segura got the lowest player rating I've seen this week, 5.9 on SofaScore. And the winger, Smolikov, very low too. I think he was 6.1. But part of that is, hey, look, you got Pedro de la Vega out there, but you also had Costa Rienzi. I mean, he was the kid out there playing like a professional. He did not look like he was playing his first game. He was cool under pressure. You see that with the passing. 33 of 34, and this is a kid who was playing in the midfield on the offensive side of the ball. You don't see that from anyone. Usually you see, wingers with lower percentage shots because they're throwing in crosses that get cut off. They're throwing in progressive passes, things that are just by default going to be taken care of by opposing teams. You did not see that. He played like a pro, got rewarded, and now we got to move on to talk about the worst things that we've seen in MLS Matchday 3.
We do. And look, I started with Portland, and I'm going to continue with Portland before we go off to something that is kind of worse, really. Oh, shout out Portland, who conceded 2 goals to Nashville. And look, if we're really honest, this Nashville offense is still not fully convincing. Although there's some nice players. You never count out Hani Mukhtar at all. And Sam Sturridge, we do, I think, agree that he is a nice player. But Portland, man, they just looked really discombobulated, really unable to prevent Nashville from doing things. And those 2 goals are not even from the 2 penalties that they conceded. Yeah. Pantemis, stopped it from being a lot worse, although the first goal was bad.
The first goal was really bad. Andy Nahar hit it from an impossible angle.
Bad angle.
And he hit him in the 5-hole. The ball kind of took a bounce, but went right into the net. I mean, if
goes
you see
right
that
through Pantemis's foot. It's terrible.
It's one of the only times I've seen a keeper stop 2 penalties, period. But it's also, you think that would give your team a little bit of life. But there's nothing there. 43% possession, 4 of 9 shots on target, no big chances. Nashville, on the other hand, 2.71 XG. It was Ahmed Kasem with the second goal there, 77th minute, put the icing on the cake there. You had Tag, Seth, and Lovitz with assists for Nashville. These were not 2 good teams. This Nashville SC team, that offense is atrocious, but they tore through Portland Timbers like they were standing still. I think that this is
24 total shots. 24 total shots for Nashville, which is a lot.
That's a lot. 12 of which were on target, which is also a lot. This Portland team is dead in the water, man. I don't like making judgments this early in the season, but do you think it's too soon?
Yes. Objectively, yes, it's too soon. 3 games in, a lot could happen. But look, you don't just the difference is not just not having like Evander out there. It's not just not having Jonathan Rodriguez out there. I'm pretty sure he was still missing again. There is something else going on. This team continues to not be good on either side of the ball or anywhere on the field, really. What are they doing well right now? You can lose an attacker and be like, oh, well, the bones are good. You're getting the ball into dangerous areas, but your rotational forwards aren't taking good shots. Like, that's just not the case. 9 shots is all you can generate. So there's something else going wrong.
Absolutely. I was surprised that Evander wanted out, and now I'm like, oh, I can see it a little bit there. And the defense was a mess. They went with like this 3-4-3 formation that I haven't seen Portland with, and I think part of that is due to some player availability issues. You did have 4 players out, but not a good showing by any means. Nashville had some players missing too, and we watched Nashville be bad for most of the season. Sure. And in this match, they were so much better than Portland.
Yeah. And by the same token, right? Too early to call Portland's demise. I think it's too early to say Nashville has definitely turned a corner.
I wouldn't dare to say that, because I think that they're going to struggle all season. They have seen the decline of Hani Mukhtar, and they've closed their eyes to it. They've said, no, let's run this back. He'll be better in this season. Well, maybe not if you don't support him in other ways. I don't know what it's going to take to get him going again, but I think we've seen running back the same thing enough times now to know that that's not the answer either.
You're absolutely right. They've got to do something different. They've got to find a way to put him in positions to succeed. He's not necessarily going to be the guy he was 5 years ago. That's fine. There are still ways for him to succeed. There are still ways for him to make the team better, but you got to do some of the other work for him. And you're absolutely right. I don't see Nashville doing that yet.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move on and talk a little bit about my worst of the week. My worst of the week is the FC Dallas defense. They lost 3-1 to the Chicago Fire. Now, Chicago Fire are a team that we're high on this season. Just in general, we think that they've made some good moves. Saw Kellen Acosta go down with an injury, but they had Ryan Gutierrez back. Gutman contributing. They have Bamba, who was supposed to be one of the better signings of the offseason. You had Brady kind of standing on his head in this match. And Hugo Kuipers, who we know what he is. We know that Greg Berhalter is going to get the best out of him. And he made some really good substitutions here, bringing on Barroso to get the goal that really kind of put the icing on the cake there. That's his debut goal in the 85th minute. But what I really wanted to point out was FC Dallas defense. First of all, they were not good. Ibiaga got walked all over. I pulled up some stats from him. 84% passing from a center back, not great. 7 of 11 on long balls, okay, but he lost possession 11 times. This is something you see like from Ricky Puig, someone who he carries the ball the whole game. When you're center back, the linchpin of your defense is losing the ball 11 times. That kind of shows you just how bad FC Dallas was defensively and just how opportunistic the Chicago Fire were at the same point.
Yeah, look, for a center back to lose the ball once or twice in a game is a lot because there's nobody behind you, right? Forwards, you expect them to lose the ball. You know, that is part of the job. Center backs, absolutely not. There's some other things about this game too. I thought the offense really for Dallas did not take their chances. That was really disappointing. I know you have the clip.
Let's take a look at that clip of the Musa offsides goal.
I want to go to the penalty attempt first.
Okay.
Can we do that?
Let's
go to the penalty attempt.
Yeah. So here you see him lining up to put a ball in the back of the net.
Look, at this point, the game is gone, right? You're in the 95th, 96th minute. There's 2 minutes of stoppage time. This is consolation prize, and this is Musa just getting on the scoreboard.
Kick save by Brady.
Great save by Brady, getting his feet up there. I just want to point out, look, my little brother is a goalie. He has a philosophy. I don't totally subscribe to it, but he thinks that if you take a penalty kick down the middle, that is a sign that you were scared. He has a stronger way of saying that, but I won't bring that here. He just thinks you as the penalty kick taker, you were scared, and so you just put it down to center the goal because you think that's safe. And you're too afraid to take a chance and put it in the corner. I don't subscribe to all of that, but I do subscribe to some of that. I think there's an element of when you're really confident taking penalties, if you go down the middle, you're showing off a little bit. You do like the Panenka. If you're going down the middle with power, that's a scared penalty. I think there was an element there of being frustrated. I think there was an element of Dallas recognizing that things had not gone their way and that getting into their heads at that late stage. And if Musa can be affected by that, anybody can be. Because we're going to show another clip and we're going to see how cool and calm he can be in front of goal, right?
Absolutely. And he was not the only one who had a missed chance. Pedrino and Anderson Julio both had missed fantastic shots. And ironically, FC Dallas had one goal by Farrington, and it was the weakest goal I've seen this week. It was a dribbler. It wasn't even a chip. It was just kind of a lob towards the net, and then everyone was running after it. I thought someone was going to catch it. They did not. Farrington with the only goal, probably the least deserved one. Again, Pedrino and Anderson Julio had some missed big chances. But here is a Musa goal that was called offsides, and I just like the fundamentals. This is how you can spot a goal scorer. Calm, collected. You'll see the ball comes up. He chests it down. He knows exactly where it's going to land. He knows exactly where every defender is, exactly how much space he has. He doesn't try a silly bicycle kick or the penny farthing, if you will. He doesn't try anything fancy. He's not trying to lay the ball off to anyone else because, quite honestly, the other attacker's offsides. Chests the ball, gets it on the ground, knows exactly where it's going to land, which is the hardest thing in soccer for me personally. I could do a lot of things that strikers could do. I was very cool in front of the net, making smart choices. My ideal shot was a pass into the back of the net. I did not want to shoot. I did not want to put my laces through anything. I could not chest a ball down. Like, that ball would have been 50 feet in the air. I would not know where it was going. Not only does he bring it down perfectly, but he knows exactly where it's going to land.
He does. He knows exactly where it's going to land. Look, he's got eyes on the ball. But he's just so calm and cool. He never loses track of where he is, where the goal is. He lets that ball come down to him. This is, I think, the Petter Musa that we are going to see most of this season, is the guy who looks unflappable in front of goal. That guy who's just so cool and calm. The only mistake he makes here is getting caught off sides, really. But otherwise, I mean, we're going to throw Zlatan around a lot, I think, talking about Petter Musa this season. But there is something Zlatan-esque about the way he just is so relaxed in front of goal.
Absolutely. And we want to talk about another bad thing, the Canadian teams in the Eastern Conference. Toronto, Montreal, both -4 in the goal differential 3 games into the season. You have Toronto FC, a draw, 2 losses. CF Montreal with 3 straight losses. I believe that's the only club in the Eastern Conference to have 3 straight losses. I always joke when people say, oh, where are the next American teams going to come from? I say, I'll just kick Canada out. In the Eastern Conference, we're making a really great case for that so far. And, you know, it's funny because Vancouver Whitecaps are the only 3-0 team in the Western Conference, and you have 2 teams without a win between them in the Eastern Conference. And that was some Canadian on Canadian crime. Vancouver Whitecaps hosting CF Montreal ends up being a 2-0 win for Vancouver. We saw a lot of really good play. You had Takaoka. I took notes when I was watching this game, and I wrote that he was saved by defenders twice if he was not in the perfect spot, and I think he's a fantastic goalkeeper. The 2 shots that would have been on net were stopped by defenders being in the right spot and heading them or chesting them away. So there were 2 of 10 of Montreal's shots were on goal. Both were stopped by defenders.
That's what they're for, man. That's what defenders are for. That's what good defenders do is stop the shot, stop the cross, make sure life is a little bit easy for your goalkeeper. I do like Takaoka. I think the thing that you're starting to see is a good relationship between him and his defense. So they are working as a unit. That Vancouver team has been really impressive to me to start the season. It's a new coach. You always worry a little bit about a new coach in the offseason. They've got time to implement their strategies, or I guess sometimes you wonder if they do have the time. But I think this team's off to a good start. But I think we just heard about an injury to I'm going to blank.
Ryan Gold, right?
That's the one. Thank you.
Yeah, he hurt his knee. Player. He should be out for a few weeks, and we hate to see that. But Brian White is back now, so I think that takes a little bit of a stress off of him. Ali Ahmed playing fantastic ball right now. I think that takes a little bit off of my mind here. But you know what player for this Vancouver team has really impressed me the most all season long, and I think he was one of their best players in this game? It's Pedro Vite. I mean, where did this guy come from? I thought he was pretty average, pretty pedestrian last. I mean, boy, was I wrong.
I mean, he wasn't anything super special last year. I mean, you could see, he had a little bit of class on the ball, but that is not uncommon in this league. He's definitely stepped up this season, which I want to say, honestly, is kind of a feature of this team, is how, somebody like Brian White can go down. In other teams, you'd be like, oh, there goes your goal scorer. And Vancouver's just like, no worries. Somebody will step up. Don't know who, but somebody will, and they do. Like clockwork.
I think that's a sign of good tactics. That's a sign of a good overall team where you're not taking huge step backs in the face of injury. Some of these best teams, when you look at the Red Bull, they have one guy who's irreplaceable on their squad, Emil Forsberg. Everyone else, it's next man up mentality. And I think Whitecaps have embraced that for seasons and seasons now, partially because they know reinforcements aren't coming. We have, two DPs, Galt and Kubas, and that's what we're going to roll out with. Very, very impressive ball. The rest of Canada.
The rest of you guys, pick it up. Pick it up.
Player of the week. Very easy for me. We watched him last night.
Actually, that's pretty much the only player I want to talk about today, I guess. Let's go with it.
Take it away. Roman Berkey, player of the match. 1.97 goals prevented, 8 saves, 2 clearances. Single-handedly keeping LA Galaxy out of the back of the net. St. Louis City, on the other hand, they put 3 in. They only had 29% possession, 1.98 expected goals, which is higher than LA Galaxy. LA Galaxy had 23 shots. St. Louis only had 14, 5 of which were on target, 5 of which were big chances. 3 of them were converted for goals.
I thought Roman Berkey was incredible. I thought he was in some of his best form that we've seen in MLS play. Gabriel,
good enough that you almost don't think he's going to finish this season in Major League Soccer.
I don't know about that. Part of me thinks, that European dream for him has run its course and he just is where he is now, especially as a goalkeeper. But I mean, I could see if a team really needed some help, you know what I mean? If they had an injury crisis somewhere, I could see that. I think the thing about this game was that, you want to, at the end of it, say that the LA Galaxy rolled over a bit and they didn't do the job or do enough or whatever. And that's only kind of true because Gabriel Peck, man, he really put in the effort and he put himself in great positions. And there was only one time that I thought that he made the mistake in the shot, right? And it was kind of late and he came across and he fluffed it really wide. But otherwise, Roman Berkey was just a wall and he was making saves that, I was worried early on in the game. I was because I had the underplay and I thought for sure this game's going to go for 6. But the Galaxy just could not break through.
I agree. Now, the second best player on the team, LA Galaxy, Isaiah Parente, 110 of his 117 passes were on target. 4 of 6 duels won, 2 tackles. Looked really good. He was the second highest ranked player. Ironically, the highest ranked player on their team was Marco Royce, 0.35 expected goals, 0.7 expected assists, 50 of 55 shots on target. 50 shots on target. 50 of 55 accurate passes. It felt like shots on target at one point. That's 91%. 5 key passes, 2 of 2 on long balls, 2 chances created. But when I say he adds nothing on defense, this clip was pulled out by our own Sir Alex. This is Royce marking on a penalty. It was tweeted earlier by the red-haired legend himself. Name's escaping me.
Alexi Lawless.
Alexi Lawless, yes. Thank you. And this is Royce on a corner kick. You'll see him on the far left post doing nothing, hands on his hips. Chuchuk runs away with it. That is fine. I had St. Louis to win or draw, so I'm completely okay with Royce doing nothing. He's standing there. A guy is running around and there's a ball open and he stands there and then he puts his hands up.
This is pretty shocking, actually. Just he has his feet planted for a very long time. And I saw some conversation about this. I saw somebody saying, oh, well, the goalie needs to catch it or the goalie needs to punch it. And yes, that's all true. That's all true. The goalie needs to do a lot better with that. But even if the goalie does catch it or punch it, Marco Royce should then be moving for that, right? There is no excuse for him to plant his feet and stay there for 5 whole seconds.
The sad part is that he's actually completely flat-footed. He's not even in the shortstop stance. He's completely checked out on this play. And I believe this was the first goal. So this is a 0-0 game. Now, I don't know if there was some kind of zonal marking thing that we didn't see, but maybe he had an assignment. Hey, you need to stay here and wait for someone else. But it's a complete lack of awareness on where everyone else is because we just watched Peter Musa with 10 guys in the box know exactly where everyone is, chest the ball down to score. And here, Marco Reus doesn't know that there's no one standing behind him. Is that something you need to know when you're on a soccer field?
Yes, there's no excuse for any player to have any defensive assignment in the box and then to lose that defensive assignment. Whether it's marking space or marking a player, it's just 100% unacceptable to blow that off. I expect that Marco Reus will hear about this from the coaching staff. They will not be cool about it. It's really bad. It's one of the things that if you were on my team, I don't care if he's really the captain or not. It's one of those things that you go after him for it because it's about accountability. That game is 0-0, and the Galaxy at that point, had some chances.
71% possession. 1.82 expected goals is actually lower than St. Louis City, but we've seen St. Louis City come out with 3 expected goals and come away with none before.
Sure.
So LA Galaxy, the field was slanted in their favor. I see people in the comments. Let me pull up Angus. St. Louis offense best I've seen in a long time. They played with lots of purpose. I agree. They did play with purpose. Someone showed me their sportsbook card that had St. Louis City win and Betcher goal. And Betcher didn't come in until the 80th minute, something like that. And he scored in the 84th. So, yeah, it was the usual suspects. Tucher, Hartel, Betcher. I mean, that is how they drew it up. That's exactly what happened. You saw Hartel and Tucher last season have more than a goal and assist per game each. Per 90. I mean, fantastic. Great stuff by St. Louis City. LA Galaxy is flat. They are in danger. And again, I don't want to be jumping to like crazy conclusions or anything, but I would be a little scared because they were a really bad team 2 years ago. And then they turned it on last year. They're missing 2 of their best players. There's no doubt that Paintsil and Puig, drop them on the worst team. You could drop them on Toronto right now, and that changes the club a little bit, but maybe they're just not as world-beating as we thought they were. This is their second home loss. Last year they had 0. This is a different Galaxy team, and we need to start attacking them and seeing them for what they are, which is a lot worse than they were at this point last year.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, too, a couple of interesting stats. This is all in the offense. Christian Ramirez, who we thought, okay, you lose Dejan Joveljic, he's a big part of your team, but Christian Ramirez should be a pretty good, new signing, guy who knows his way around the league.
Yes,
he had 19 touches for the whole. What did he play? Like 59 minutes, 19 touches, 1 of 2 shots, 1 shot on target from 2 total attempted. 2 shots in the game is not good enough. Diego Fagundes, plays the whole 90, 89 touches. Now we're getting somewhere, right? Yeah. Shooting 0 for 1. 1 shot attempted in the whole game. That's where this team is really starting to like lose that impetus, right? Paintsil, if he's in the zone, he's getting his shot off. Peck is getting his shots off. Joveljic was a volume guy, so he was always getting his shots off. They're not getting the ball to Ramirez enough in good enough positions anyways.
They are, and he's also, in fairness, not doing enough with it. I saw 59 minutes, 0.35 expected goals. That is like the threshold. If you get 0.4 or higher, you should be putting one in the back of the net at some point in this game. Mm-hmm. Shots on target 1, shots off target 1, big chances missed 1, 19 touches, 4 of 11 accurate passes. That's 36% passing. Now, we expect that from strikers, that he's not going to be passing so much, and the passes he does get are going to be like across the box that should be intercepted. But you're right, absolutely not good enough. He was the lowest ranked player by SofaScore in this one, behind Mikovic. They were both ranked 6.0.
FOTMob has him pretty low. They gave him a 6.3. Cerrillo and Nelson both got 6.1s from FOTMob. So little different algorithm, but
I like SofaScore because it gives you the heat maps that you pull right up. That I think is like super valuable information. LA Galaxy, worth noting, they are facing Herediano in a must-win game. They must win by at least 1 goal, and then they are at Portland but then they're at Minnesota, hosting Orlando, at RSL, hosting Dynamo. So they do have a little bit of an easier stretch of home games. Orlando, Houston, Portland, those should be pretty easily winnable. Minnesota is going to be a tough test, and RSL is going to be a huge fitness test for this club.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a tactical test for them too. San Diego managed to exploit some stuff about RSL. We'll see if the Galaxy can do their homework for that one, because if they can exploit those same things, the fitness part of it might not come into it nearly as much.
Yeah, and another thing that I saw that terrible from LA Galaxy, did you see Yoshida running to head a ball, yes, and Garces runs up behind him and they bonk heads? I mean, that was really bad. I think Garces might have even been off of the field for one of the first goals there because of that. Not good stuff. I mean, you got to know where the other man is.
I think he was back on by the corner, but yes, Garces, Yoshida is tracking the flight of the ball. Garces is behind him. This is all on Garces to be kind of heads up aware and call his teammate off and be like, I got it, man. Like, keep running because I got it. So just the breakdown in communication, you can see that's what Yoshida was really upset about, but he was furious about that. Absolutely furious.
Let's now move on and talk about the Crew against Dynamo. This is what I call the my kind of surprise of the week. I thought this game was going to be dead in the water, and it turned out to be a real contest. I'm running through my notes and trying to see if I could pull up exactly what I'd seen there. It was a 0-0 draw. Also, Atlanta versus Red Bull, a 0-0 draw. These are two times where the away team really feels like getting a point, ran away with one here. No one saw Houston blanking Columbus with what they put on the field. They had, they're decimated in their back line. They had Bartlow and Owadesu. They had Tarbell in net, and Tarbell gets a player of the game. There's no even debating that. But a 0-0, oof, what a bad way for Columbus to start their homecoming.
11 total shots, 5 on target, 1 big chance, 0.63 expected goals. When you're looking at a defense that's, not full strength, yeah, maybe that Houston's going to bunker a little bit to try and compensate, but you're thinking, look, we've got to really pepper them. We've got to really put the pressure on. And that line is not putting the pressure on. That line's not it.
I agree. Moving on slightly to Red Bull at Atlanta. Kind of went exactly how I think Sandro Schwartz drew it up. Hey, let's not make any mistakes here. Again, Carlos Cornell, player of the game, 1.38 goals prevented, 1 punch, 6 saves, just doing everything he needed to do in this matchup. And Atlanta did look a little disappointing. I think it's at the point now where Atlanta's faced a couple of really rough defenses in a row. So I think that this offense, who now may be without Latte Lath for a few weeks, they really wanted to hit the ground running. It did not happen. They beat Montreal 3-2. That's fine. But this is their second shutout in a row. One was at Charlotte. Okay, there's no shame in that. The other is hosting Red Bull. I don't think there's really much shame in that either. But now they face Inter Miami. I think there's going to be a lot of goals in that match next week. I think they should just start scoring now. But then they head to Cincinnati. That's another match where they might have a disappointing offensive result. So I was talking to some Atlanta fans today, and I said, no, guys, this offense is going to be good. You need to take a step back. And they said, oh, well, it's Red Bull. Yeah, Red Bull has a really good defense. They did it all postseason. They're running with a 5-man backline. It is a completely different defensive formation, a different shape than they were playing last year. These things are going to happen. But I'm a Red Bull fan, so I'll leave with the point.
I'm sure you will. I think things are not going to get easier for Atlanta for a little bit, and Atlanta fans might have to be patient, which is hard for them to do with the roster they've got.
Sure.
But yeah, Latte Lath is now in concussion protocol. Jamal Tiare is got his hip injury, so I think he's not supposed to be back until April, early April, whatever that means. So yeah, look, there's still attacking talent in this group. It's not like they aren't going to score any goals, but that's going to be a bit of a hole for them at that number 9 position, I think.
Yeah, they came into Shogi. He's like a younger player there. I'd like to see what he has to offer Maybe, I don't know, you throw Saba up there, Moranchuk. I don't know. I'm sure they'll find something to be competitive in the next few matches. Again, you're going to score against Inter Miami. There's no denying that. And then you're going to be low scoring against Cincinnati, and there's really nothing wrong with that either. It just did game scripts and the part of the schedule you're in now. Later on next month, I was looking ahead at Atlanta's schedule. They have a very easy, April. So looking good for them, even though they're not getting the results they want now. Let's finish up with the last match we're going to talk about here, Austin.
Look, I don't have a lot to say about Austin's game specifically, but I am shocked, just shocked they have only scored 1 goal this season. I know it's only 3 games. I know, but Austin was a team that, as we previewed them and stuff, this was a team that was supposed to have an offensive kind of revolution. They brought in Brandon Vasquez. He's a player that, Major League Soccer adores. And, Vasquez has 12 shots. Only 5 of those are on target. He has no goals. He has less than 1 expected goal. His shots on target have only generated 0.36 expected goals. As a team, Austin is like 22nd in the league for expected goal, 22nd in the league for shots on target per game, 23rd in the league for big chances. But hey, they're 9th in touches in the opposition box. So that's my shock for that of the week, really, is they continue to be bad offensively.
That's one way to do it, I guess. Bakari has looked good. Vasquez has looked decent. I mean, you mentioned that half of his shots have been on target. Okay, that's like about what it should be. That's pretty good. I think that they need to just face a get right defense and just put a whole bunch in and fix what's going on. But I think it does go to show that, Brandon Vasquez is no magician. MLS seems to love him, and he hadn't done it for years. Like, he had a good year and a half in Major League Soccer. He's not Jordan Morris scoring, 10 goals 15 years in a row. Like, we need to temper our expectations for him because he is going to a much worse team.
He is. And actually, it's an interesting point that you raised, because when he was at Cincinnati, he had an injury period, and I was a little worried about Cincinnati when he went out or whatever. And I looked at Cincinnati's record when he didn't play, and it was identical to the record that they had when he did play. He legitimately had no noticeable difference on the outcomes of the games that he played in, as far as I could tell.
I think Monterrey felt that too.
Yeah, which isn't to say that he didn't, contribute in other ways or anything. It's not to say that he's not a good player, but that point about not being a magician, yeah, I think that's really, really true. And that kind of, can he be a guy who's a difference maker who just goes and gets you stuff?
Yeah.
The answer to that is sort of coming back. Not really.
He had played no more than 10 games until he turned 23. His 23 age year, he scored 18 goals and 8 assists. That was in 2022. The next year, 8 goals, 2 assists in 26 matches. That's basically it. Besides that, he hasn't scored more than 4 goals in a single season. He is not inevitable when he does not have Luciano Acosta feeding him the ball, and it kind of makes you wonder, which it was.
It's true. Is it?
Not that I think he's untalented by any means. I don't want to be.
I don't think we're saying that at all. But I think where I'm kind of coming to is that he is a guy who needs a very specific type of offense. He needs a very specific type of partner next to him. And he needs a specific type of help to put him in the situations where he can do what he actually does to score goals. So, just an interesting thing. I do think that Austin will gradually improve. I think that touches in the opposition box is a sneaky important stat.
Yes.
If you can get the ball into dangerous areas, eventually you will be dangerous. You will figure that out. So I think Austin will start to figure that out, and they'll play a get right defense and they will score a bunch of goals. But for now, that's my surprise of the week.
Sporting KC is currently ahead of LA Galaxy in the standings. Both have 3 losses. Sporting KC, 2 goals scored, 5 conceded. LA Galaxy 1 goal scored, 7 succeeded. That is a -6 goal differential, the worst in Major League Soccer, and it couldn't happen as a Red Bull fan to a better team. You guys won Cup last year. You can be a bad team this year, and no one's going to cry about it, right?
Yeah, I'm not sad about it either. Sorry, Galaxy fans.
Scott, any final thoughts?
Sorry. No, I'm good. It was still a good week. Still a good week of soccer.
It was a fantastic week. We are going to be back on Thursday with some more bets. Scott looking to kind of get back on it, have a good week. I'm looking to just continue the streak. Our show has been profitable 3 weeks in a row. That is something you don't see anywhere else, and we're glad to be bringing it to you. Happy to be here talking soccer tonight. Thank you for joining us on the Designated Pundits.